My name is Charlene Lee. I'm the founder of Altimeter Group, and I'm going to be talking about the future of social networks. What is a social site to you today? Are they sites like Facebook or MySpace, or if you're international, Mixi, or one of the Tencent properties? But I would actually posit that social networks are going to be much bigger than that. And we're going to look back 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. We'll look back and say, wasn't it odd that we had to go to one of these places to be social? And the paradigm I would put in front of you is this, that social networks would be like air, that they would be everywhere around us. The people we want to connect with, the people who we are like, the people we need to help us live our lives, to breathe, to be, would be like air. So it's a system here that in order for social networks to work, the people who own those people, those relationships, the content, need to start working together. So what kind of information do we need to make social networks really, truly be like air? I think there were 3 things. The first thing is identity. So who are you? The second thing is really around your contacts. Who do you know? And the third thing is your activities. What do you do as a person with your friends in the context of those relationships? But it's more than that. It's also what pages I look at, what sites I visit, what products I buy. Those are all activities that could go in and feed, again, information into those relationships. Now, the ideal situation here is, again, your email, your OpenID, they all merge together into one place that you can, again, control. The key thing is that I can control which identity I choose to expose. But in the end, you have to trust somebody with your identity, with your contacts, and with your activity stream. And that's a hard thing for many, many people to get around, not only as users, but also as businesses. If you're a business and you have a registration gate onto your site, you know what that means. You can get all that information back to you. But do you give that up to be able to connect to Facebook Connect or to the OpenID platforms? Because you can exchange that control for greater information. And that's a really hard place for many people to get to. I do believe that the social algorithm that's out there will actually make it easier for people to understand, to manage their privacy and permissions. If you think about all that friend management that goes into who can see what and where and when, it's really tough to manage. But what if that social algorithm actually gave me back information about who are the people who I email the most, who are the people I see the most? Because this is, I think, the billion-dollar question. What's going to get Facebook to play nicely with MySpace? What's it going to take for Google to play nicely with Yahoo? What's it going to take for the Wall Street Journal to share registration data with an entity that could potentially share that information back to the New York Times? Because that's the key issue here. From a competitive standpoint, how do you get everyone to play nicely to abide by these standards? I think it's one very simple thing. It's the money. No one's going to do it for kumbaya, transparency, and openness. They're going to do it because they can make money. So let me talk a bit about that, because I think the key thing here is activities. So the core people, the portals, the media companies and things, a lot of them own identity. A lot of them own the relationships that they're being mapped up. But the vast, vast, vast majority of digital activity, the place where money is made, the shopping, the decision-making happens outside of those portals and search engines. So let me talk a little bit about that. So if you think about what Facebook Connect does, it really takes the information that's inside Facebook and puts it onto sites like The Insider. The Insider is an entertainment site. They didn't really have a strong registration, and they thought, hey, we could really benefit from being able to tap into Facebook Connect and bring that information in so people don't have to register over and over again. They can share that information back to Facebook. Now, what's in it for Facebook? Wow, they just got a huge new audience that they could never have. The discussion that happens on The Insider sometimes takes place on Facebook, but it's really intense, and the people who go to The Insider go there because of the editorial content that's there. It's a trade-off. Now, what does The Insider get? Well, I get all that data, that profile data from Facebook, and information about them so I can target my ads better. Facebook says, well, gee, if I'm going to let you use that information to do better targeting, I should get part of the revenue share. Voila, the money motive actually shows itself. If you buy into the idea that social networks will be like air, where inside of your experience, inside of your world that you're trying to build, does it make sense to be social? So to think about that, identify where the social networking data, where the content can actually be integrated into your site, into that experience. It may be mobile, it may be television, it may be in your store even. Don't imagine that it's limited to just the web. Where does it make sense for people to be able to reach out to their friends, to people like themselves, to be able to help them make decisions? The second thing is you want to leverage any of the existing identity systems that are out there. You may want to, you may not, but start experimenting with them. The other thing is you need to get in place your privacy and permission policies. You probably have them on your site. They probably do not include third-party data. So you need to take a look back at those and really start thinking about how you're going to integrate them and taking the steps to tell your users how they're going to change. And then finally, you got to think about who your trust agents will be. Are you going to trust people like Google? Are you going to trust Facebook? Are you going to trust somebody else, a third entity? Who is it going to be? Everybody has some sort of customer data information, whatever. It's some database someplace. And it's getting more and more complex as those interactions with your customers go through many, many different channels. And you may have 1 to 8 different sign-ons, registration policies. If I've looked at many back ends of companies, and they are a mess. If you really truly want to take advantage of these social ends, in the end, these identities, you've got to get your own identity inside your house in order. Single sign-on, single identity for both your customers and for your prospects. I think the last point here is that the open networks will be the new norm. There's no fighting this. Whether you're the holder of identities, the holders of those relationships, or again, the place where people are taking place of these activities, you have to consider how you're going to open your business and to prepare for that inevitable future. Thank you very much.